Hello, everyone. I hope you're well. I decided to create some videos which I call the philosophy pills, where I give just a few notions of philosophy. In this case, today we will talk about ethics. What is ethics? Let's start from here. The word ethics comes from ethos, Greek, and it has the same root as in Latin, mos. Both words mean outfit. So the clothes we decide to wear to be decent in the society, hopefully with each other, toward ourselves, and so on. In being decent, it involves that we make the right choices in interacting with each other and in choosing what to do with ourselves. So ethics become the discipline, ethics and morality. One derives from Latin, the other one from Greek, but the discipline is more or less the same. Is that area uh, of study in which we think about the right ways to do something. Unfortunately, it's not taught in any school. We study a little bit of ethics in philosophy when we arrive in college. Why should philosophy study ethics? Why it's a branch of philosophy? Because it requires a little bit of abstraction, right? It requires our ability to think in general about a situation and to take as much time as we can to make a choice. Often we live in a reactive society in which we feel we have to make a choice immediately, a moment after a moment, and we have mostly to react rather than to choose. Ethics is an invitation to choose, to reflect on what we're doing. And in philosophy, we have three big schools that gave us an orientation to make the right choice. One school is the Aristotelian um, path. We will talk about it in another video, maybe. You want to work on your character. It's virtue ethics. You want to repeatedly choose the right habit. Accordingly, after a while, you'll develop a behavior, a personality that tends toward what is good. Then there's deontological ethics. Kant, for example, is a representative of it, which says you should always do what the duty, what your ought tells you to do. So if killing is wrong, it will only universally be wrong. Onus gladi, self-defense doesn't count. I don't know, wars, just wars, they don't exist. If killing is wrong, it will always be wrong. And then there's utilitarianism, which is what we are going to discuss just a little today. What is utilitarianism? Our society is completely based on this ethical path. In general, it says that we do right when we make the largest amount of people happy. So our choice is a correct one if instead of privileging one person or two, we maximize the result. Which is good, but it also brought us to the drift of making many people addicted to something, advertisements, influencers. It might be that we can make the largest amount of people happy, but in doing so, we might lose the quality of what we're doing. These are just two potential options, and not necessarily we have to choose one ethics over the others. Each ethics, as we will see, has a downside. Utilitarianism, in particular, is connected to the notion of hedonism. We want, in fact, to make the majority of the people feeling hedonic, which means pleasure. So, for example, Bentham's relativistic utilitarianism says that to do something good, we want to promote the greatest pleasure for the greatest number of people. Uh, Mill, who is another utilitarian philosophy, shares Bentham's view, but it also thinks that pleasure cannot be the same for everyone. So when we are reflecting on what is morally good, we have to think of the quality of pleasure. Because we are not just our senses, otherwise, we would be comparable to little animals, uh, with all due respect to animals. But there's also intellect, goals. That's why, for example, Singer's utilitarianism is considered not hedonistic but teleological. So we want to make sure that our goals are fulfilled. What is important for our life in terms of life goals, of vocation, that is something that makes our life good. That is something that maximize our sense of pleasure. There's also the hedonic calculus, that is a way to say, okay, when you are undecided about something, what you should do is just to calculate this hierarchy of pleasures you have in front of you, and you choose what's the best for you, what is the highest uh, total of pleasure. That could be a way to calculate the right decision to make. But again, it might happen that you don't have a full view on the experience you're trying to achieve, or the goal you have, or the intellectual or emotional value that something is having. For this reason, Nozick, for example, proposes the experience machine, which is a mental experiment for which he says, imagine to go through that experience and then to make a choice. For example, since I'm a philosophical counselor, sometimes I do counseling to couples. And it might happen during pregnancy, for example, that the husband cannot understand what the woman is going through. So there's the behavioral experiment for which you attach the watermelons on the belly and on the chest. And then now you can make the right choice, because now you understood what it is to be me. Now you walked into my shoes, and you can make an informed choice when it comes to the couple. That is true to a certain extent, Nozick thinks, because the brain is not fully convinced about these two moments of life in which you experience the watermelons attached to you, and because uh, uh, your life is not fully committed to that mental phenomenon, but it's just a small slice of time you dedicated to that. So making a choice, it's always challenging, and it's always challenging to be decent toward each other.